Okay, so today we're going to be talking about herbs from the garden and those things that have invited themselves to us. This is Dr. Mary at Health to Home, and behind the camera today is my granddaughter Sarah, who has helped me. She helped me weed these, and notice this very sticky plant. You can see that it kind of wants to grab onto my gloves. It's almost like a Velcro, so it'll grab onto your hand and it will stick there. This is called Cleavers, and I wrote about it on Monday in the herb the e-gram newsletter that I do. And we're going to take some of the cleavers and we're going to make some medicinal tea and have it for some other uses. So I'll see you in a little bit. The next herb we're going to talk about is Comfrey. This is a Comfrey plant. It's just beautiful and lush, and this is the best time to do its first cutting is when it's about this tall. You can cut off about a foot and a half, something like that. You want to gather all of the leaves and the little bits of where you see the flowers coming. And we're going to make a Comfrey tea. Comfrey is loaded with calcium. It's a wonderful plant to help you build bones. In fact, it's called the bone knitter. Our first Americans used to use this all the time. So we'll be back in a minute. The plant we're going to talk about is mint, because when you make Comfrey tea, it isn't that tasty. So I like to add a little mint to it. And unfortunately, mint is growing everywhere in my garden. And so I'm actually going to pull it to try and get as much as I can out. And then I'm going to take the roots and cut them off. And this way we can use that. Smells wonderful. And I know Sarah loves this mint because she comes over and grazes in the garden. Now, right next to it is this plant, and this is a lemon balm. Lemon balm is especially good for those people with autoimmune conditions. It calms the immune system. And it smells wonderful. It has a very lemony taste and smell to it. So I'm going to use both of these in some of the medicinal teas that I'm making. So there you go. And we'll be back with the teas. Okay, so here we have our cleavers, and we're going to just chop them up a little bit more. Now, some people are able to eat the cleavers raw like this. You can chop it up and use it just as you would basil. It doesn't quite have the same flavor as basil, but there are recipes for pesto. You can use them in a quiche. Anytime that you would use parsley, you could use the cleavers. So we have them in the bowl, and we're going to pour boiling water on it. Now, as soon as you pour boiling water on it, that gets rid of any of the stickiness. Now, it has kind of a green grassy smell to it right now, and we're going to place this plate over it, and then it can steep, and so you're making a tea. So that's one way of making your tea. The other way is there's this pour over coffee pot. It's a Melita. So these are the mint. We're going to just chop these up, put them in there. Now, because mint is more aromatic and it really doesn't take much for the oils to come out of mint, we can pour it right over it. And as it steeps, it will go down into the little pot, just like if you were making any other tea. Or a little bit more. Oh, that smells great, doesn't it, Sarah? Okay, so as soon as it's done, then you can take that out, you can take the holder out, and you can drink your tea. Now you could do that with the lemon balm as well. It makes a lovely lemony tea. But the comfrey, again, needs to be chopped and set in the bowl. Now these will, the herbs that we have to put in the bowl like this have to sit for about a half hour. Then all of the goodness will come out of the herbs. Then you can use the leaves itself for other purposes, which I will be showing you shortly. I love the energy of spring. Everything is bursting forth and popping out of the ground, and it's a time of renewal. Here in Michigan, it is a really special time because we're getting rid of all of the snow and cold, and we're coming into the times of where we can see our neighbors again and enjoy all of the wonderful things that spring has to offer us. I hope spring is a wonderful time of the year for you too. I'm Mary Bourne, traditional naturopath, and I love sharing natural remedies and herbs with people to help them understand the value of these wonderful plants. And this whole month, the month of June, I'm spending with you. I'm going to be showing you different herbs from my garden, mini herb walks, if you will. In the recorded version of this presentation, I will have preempted it with a little video of that Sarah, my granddaughter, helped me do yesterday, where we did a walkthrough and picked out 4 herbs where we thought that would be extremely interesting. Some you've never heard of before, and some you probably are familiar with. So these are some of the herbs that we're going to be talking about. Yesterday I made tea out of all of the herbs, and you can see this is the lemon balm tea that I made, and I'm going to explain today the value of these and how you can use them. So the first herb I want to talk about is Cleavers. Now, hi Kirk. It is the most interesting plant because it has like a Velcro. You can see where it's actually sticking to my hand. Now, a lot of people might consider this a horrible weed. I did too, until I investigated the value of this. Now, you know, I'm quirky like that, where I think if God has put it in my presence, then he must want me to do something with it. So I looked up Cleavers and found out, well, first of all, I had to figure out hi Diane, is this sticky herb that is growing in the mound in the front of my yard. And so I was amazed to find out it was Cleavers. And I kind of knew about Cleavers because Nature's Sunshine has it in the product lymphatic drainage. And so I was able to look there. Why is it included in lymphatic drainage? It's because it clears congestion. And so I started to look at all the recipes and everything on the internet about Cleavers. Now, you can identify Cleavers, first of all, of course, by its sticky. When Sarah and I were clearing out the mound area in the front of the yard, it just like clings to you. You're walking by and it grabs onto you. And so I figure, okay, that's an indication I need to use this. And so it is a very I think, a very feminine looking plant. It has these wonderful, long, graceful leaves that come out. The part that flowers is so pretty. It comes in a clump like this, and then there'll be pretty little dainty white flowers coming out of it. The stem of the cleavers is square. So that's a familiar characteristic in some of things like mint, in the mint family. So you'll be able to easily identify cleavers if it comes to you, by the stickiness of it. So you can chop this up as a raw herb, and you can toss it into different foods. Some people use it like a pesto. You can create a lovely pesto. There's some recipes on the internet for pesto sauce. And I wrote about cleavers in my newsletter, my Monday morning e-gram. It looks like this. So it has a lot of recipes in it, including a pesto recipe. But it is a long time springtime tonic. It has been used through the generations for a springtime tonic. It is very gentle, so you can even give it to children. It has a mild laxative effect, but it's not harsh in any way. And when you use it, you are adding nutrient density to your food. So you can take the cleavers after you've made tea out of it. I put it in a plastic wrap and kept it overnight in the refrigerator so that I could show you. One of the ways you can take it is you can chop it up. Now, granted, isn't something like a green bean where you'd pick it up and eat it. At least I don't think I would. But you can chop it. You can hear that it's pretty crunchy. But I would chop it before I did this, before I went to use it, so that it would be in smaller pieces. Now you can add this to any soup. Just think of it as a different kind of vegetable, one you've probably not worked with before. But one of the ways I like to do with herbs is I like to put it in an ice cube tray. Now you can just pack a little bit in the ice cube tray, like this. And I would take a little bit of the tea I made with it and cover it so it becomes an ice cube. Then once this is frozen, you can put it in smoothies, you can put it in stews or soups, any kind of form. Just think of it as a free vegetable, And it's so much better to use your herbs, weeds, rather than try to dig them up or poison them. So I figure God has put them there for a purpose, and let's use them. So that's one way that you can, or several ways that you can do cleavers. The drink, the tea that you made with it, can be a great base for your smoothie. So that's one of the things we want to do in the springtime is clear congestion. And a lot of you are suffering with congestion that's not cleared. You're stuffy and your allergies are really picking up because right now here in Michigan we've got pine pollen everywhere. There's this bright green dust everywhere. And so if you're allergic, high allergy, in other words, you came off of the winter season pretty congested, then you're going to be dripping, your eyes are going to be watering, your body wants to get rid of it. And what most people will do is they'll take an antihistamine, and that stops the symptoms, but then it worsens the effects, because what the body's trying to do is get rid of it. And what you've just done, instead of making it a liquid state, it's now a congested, hardened state. And then so we got to break that up and move it through into the wet stage again for proper healing. So these herbs can be added to all kinds of things. Just let your mind go free. Stir fries. You can add nutrition benefits to most of the food that you're eating. Even if it's sloppy joes, you can add extra nutrition to it, and the kids won't even know about it. So the next herb I want to talk about is mint. Since we did talk about the square stem, I don't know if you can see this, but it is a square. Now, there are hundreds of varieties of mint. This is the true peppermint. And my granddaughter, Sarah, absolutely loves mint ever since she was a really little girl. She's almost 19 now, and she's really loves this particular mint. My son went out and bought mint thinking that he was going to do her a favor and put it in a pot, and she didn't like it. So she comes over and she graces through my garden, and my garden is full of mint. It's something that is the bane of my existence. Basically, I try to get rid of it as much as I can, but I do use it because it's such a wonderful herb. It has fabulous benefits. Now, I'm not sure about the quality or the benefits nutritionally of those things like chocolate mint or orange mint, but this is the true peppermint, and it is antibacterial. It is known to inhibit and kill numerous microorganisms, including the Candida albicans. It can kill strep infection. Let me show you here. So the volatile oil of peppermint is strongly antibacterial and is known to inhibit and kill numerous microorganisms, including Candida, herpes simplex, which is cold sores, influenza A viruses, that's the Asian flu, mumps virus, which, everybody's all up in arms about, Newcastle disease, Semicophoros virus, Staphylococcus aureus, which is pneumonia, sinusitis, impetigo, etc., Streptococcus pyogenes, which is the sore throat, scarlet fever, rheumatic fever, otitis media, the cystitis, cellulitis, and vaccinovirus, which is cowpox. So this particular herb basically replaces all the vaccines that we're worried about. I just think it's very comical that, the medical community creates this media frenzy about different things. And if you could just look into the herbs that God has put on this planet, there are so many answers to the problems that we have through herbs. So now it is really wonderful to do a peppermint tea. Yesterday I showed a little video of the making peppermint tea. It's simply easy. Chop it up, pour water over it, let it sit for a few minutes, and you've got your peppermint tea. So it's just great. So it's a mild tea. You can use it as a smoothie base. You can drink it as the hot tea. It's so refreshing and soothing. It is great for, even spaghetti sauces. So a lot of the Italians put mint in their spaghetti sauce to ramp it up and make it taste better. So medicinally, it can help relieve stress and anxiety and helps to move congestion. It is great herb for anyone dealing with congestion. It helps you think better. Peppermint has been known to be a very uplifting herb, and the essential oils are easily released with just water. But in future weeks, I hope to show you how to do a sealed glycerin. Now, these remedies are a way to keep the herbs in liquid form and usable for years. And sealed glycerins are one of my favorite. I prefer them much better to extracts. Extracts are 30% alcohol, and I like to feel safe in giving these to children or recovering alcoholics or older people and not have to worry about the alcohol content in them. So I'm going to show you how to do sealed glycerins in one of the videos this month. The whole month of June, I'm using it as an opportunity to do some mini herb walks and show you some of the herbs that I grow and use in my garden and why I love them so much. Now, the next herb I want to show you is lemon balm. Now, it's 2 in the mint family. It has that square stem and smells divinely of lemon. If you pick off a leaf, you can chew on it. It is a very beneficial herb and culinary. I have taken the herb and wrapped it around salmon, and the benefit of it goes into the salmon, and it has very beneficial. Now, its official name is called Melissa officinalis. Its lemon balm is a great healer for melancholy. It lifts you out of the blues, so to speak. So it's a great spring thing because, you know, through the winter months we become sedentary. We want to move, and springtime is a time of movement and uplifting. And so I chose herbs that are very available in the springtime. So if you add a sprig of lemon balm to the bath water, it will soothe stress and anxiety. It can help dispel nightmares. You can dry these herbs as well, and I hope to have one session on drying herbs and how you can use dried herbs. But just picking it, and some of them you can just eat, like Sarah does grazing with the peppermint and the lemon balm. She likes that too. And so we encourage our children to go out and experience the garden, and to take caution that not every plant you see is edible, but here are some and how to identify it. These are easily identified because of the smell. You can, as I said, the square stem, and they're just fun to grow. So one of the ways you can do lemon balm again is by putting it in an ice cube tray and making ice cubes out of them, and then pop them out of the tray and put them in a Ziploc bag labeled with the herb. And I think the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. Now, I don't necessarily use these for any and all of my health. I want to make sure that my health is taken care of. It was really funny because a few days ago, my husband and I had the conversation. A lot of people in the mid-70s, as we are sick a lot. They creak, they ache, they're in pain all the time. And we haven't been sick. We haven't really been down or not been able to enjoy different things. And we honestly feel it's because we take a banquet of supplements on a daily basis. We find it very important to take enzymes and to be able to do this on a daily basis and per meal. So I hope that you get some tips from this and that you consider also taking not just a daily supplement, but to add herbs into your life and strengthen your well-being. So speaking of strengthening, the last herb I want to talk about is comfrey. Now, comfrey is a lovely plant. The flowers are just starting to form in the little bud branch here. The leaves are very hairy. The stalk is not square. Stalk is round. The leaves come out at opposing areas. You can see how they are not just one on either side of the area, but they step ladder down the stem. So you can see how they step ladder down the stem. Comfrey can grow really, really tall. I've had some of my comfrey go almost 7 feet. You can harvest it mid-May all the way through to October. And so it is just a very beneficial plant. It is full of calcium. In fact, our first Americans used to call this the bone knitter because when anybody in the tribe was injured, this would be the herb that they would give them. Now, one of the things I want to show you today is how to make a poultice. So I'm going to see if I can move this down just a bit. I don't know if you can see this area. Now, this is from the tea that I made yesterday. So I'm just going to take a small batch. These are the wilted comfrey leaves that came from yesterday's tea making. So I'm just going to chop up some of this herb. I'm going to try to do it fine rather. And what I've done in the past is I've dried comfrey and made the poultice, but I also have done wet poultices. Now, we're going to add this to a glass bowl like this. Now you want to try and get as much as the leaves as possible. So once you've done that, then you want to take some aloe vera gel. So this is going to liquefy it, so to speak. Okay. Then you're going to take mix that up. I like to add, because this is going to be for an injury of some sort. You're going to freeze these in pads. So I like to take some Distress Remedy, and I've talked about Distress Remedy before and how beneficial it is. And because lavender is a tissue healer, we're going to add lavender, and also because it smells really good. So we're going to mix this up. And when we freeze it, this will break down even more. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is take some saran wrap. Now, I'm trying to get away from plastic, but I haven't figured yet how to make this without some kind of plastic. So you take a small bunch of it and you pat it down, and you kind of make it into like a square type of thing. Okay. The next thing you want to do is take that, you're putting it in the middle of the saran wrap. And you take the saran wrap and you cover it, pat it down, and then take the other third, cover it, pat it down, take that section and turn it up. So you end up with something that looks like this. Now, you want to put these in a Ziploc bag. You can lay them like one on top of here, one on top of here, and so you can put like 6 or 7 of these in a Ziploc bag that you've labeled Comfrey Poultice. Then, if somebody is injured, you can take these out of the freezer, grab a Velcro or gauze pad, open up the gauze pad all the way like this. Then you take your frozen sheet of Poultice and you put it inside the pad and fold it over like this. And then you've got a Poultice. Now you can take tape and tape it to an injured area. Let me tell you when I've used this. There are so many ways, but these are ways that people are ever so grateful for. My niece, after she had a baby, was really torn. They had the baby came really fast, and so she had stitches, and so the opening of the vagina was like raw. And she would take these and put these on, and it would be so soothing. It would be, she says, it was like putting out the fire. So very, very grateful. And these are things that you can do to help people and yourself heal faster. Another way was a friend of mine had broken her hip, and so she would take the frozen Comfrey pad and she would put it on her hip, and you might want to put a protectant around it because sometimes the Comfrey will ooze through the gauze, so you can put extra gauze over it. But what a benefit to people. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's herb walk and how to work with herbs. Stay tuned for this whole month. This is going to be, the whole month is going to be about herbs and what to do with them. And if you've enjoyed today, leave some comments. Hi, my sister's on. And keep watch for next week. This is Dr. Mary at Health to Home. And health to you. Bye for now.